This particular page is a duplicate of a lot of things we've already talked about, but there's a couple of terms I want to introduce into this as well, so that's why it's important. So mitigation techniques for protecting IT. In the specific techniques, we've talked about a lot of them. Removing or changing defaults. Make sure that when they're out of the box, change the default password. Reducing the, I'll skip that here in a second. Keeping systems up to date with patches and virus signatures. We've talked about that. Enabling and configuring firewalls and IDSs and enabling intrusion prevention systems. These are all things we've actually talked about before here, so that's nothing crazy. But, excuse me, oh, and installing antivirus software. Better do that. But reducing the attack surface. So I want you to think about all of the different possibilities on a server that they can attack. All you're trying to do is reduce the unnecessary services on a server. Do you need port 80 open? Do you need port 8080 open, or for a database or something of that nature? These are all items that you need to routinely check on. They may be by default open. If you build an Apache server or something like that, which I used to do years ago, there were some ports that were already open. You may want to close those. So just reducing your attack surface will help out greatly. Now, it doesn't eliminate it, but at least it'll reduce it. It's called hardening a server. I almost said service. Hardening a server, when you're basically just increasing the level of security beyond the initial settings that you were given for the computer. So for software, you might have an Oracle database in there so that on your server, so you need to kind of harden that up and make sure that it's good to go for not to open to routine attack, or passwords are good, or that you have a root user in there, that the password is an admin, stuff like that. So that's software-wise. Or you're going to have an entire system like we have here with this that I happen to get from Heimdall, in the overall approach that they're trying to do as well, and then the server approach that we have here within, I talked about intrusion prevention, malware identification, patch management. These are for a particular software, whereas this one really is the different types of hardening that you can do on an overall process for an organization. So that's the mitigation techniques that you have for IT, which is, again, can be individualized, or we still need to look at the overall business process.